In 1944, as Allied forces pushed deeper into occupied Europe following D-Day, a secret unit was formed with a mission unlike any other. Its goal wasn't to fight, capture territory, or engage in direct combat. Instead, its purpose was to deceive and mislead the enemy. This unit, known as the 23rd Headquarters Special Troops, would become one of the most extraordinary and unconventional forces in military history, later known as the Ghost Army. The 23rd wasn't made up of battle-hardened soldiers or elite commandos. It consisted of artists, actors, sound engineers, and designers. These creative minds had been recruited for their unique talents, all brought together to weave a tapestry of illusions on the battlefield. Their weapons were inflatable tanks, fake radio signals, and elaborate sound effects, tools of deception that would play a vital role in confusing and demoralizing German forces. The Ghost Army first made its mark during Operation Fortitude, a crucial part of the broader D-Day deception strategy. Before the invasion of Normandy, the Allies needed to convince the Germans that the real attack would take place at Pas-de-Calais, far from the actual landing sites in Normandy. The 23rd Headquarters was deployed to southern England, tasked with creating the illusion of a massive invasion force preparing to cross the English Channel. Inflatable tanks and trucks were set up in fields, looking convincingly like real armored divisions from the air. Giant speakers, playing pre-recorded sounds of clanking machinery, the rumble of tanks, and marching troops, echoed across the countryside. Meanwhile, fake radio operators transmitted carefully crafted messages that the Germans intercepted, leading them to believe that a formidable force was gathering at Pas-de-Calais. The ruse worked. The Germans shifted significant resources to defend the wrong location, leaving the Normandy beaches less fortified than they might have been. The success of D-Day owes part of its victory to the cunning deception carried out by these soldiers who never fired a shot. In December 1944, during the brutal Battle of the Bulge, the Ghost Army was called into action once more. The German counteroffensive had caught the Allies off guard, and they needed to buy time to regroup and reinforce their lines. The 23rd Headquarters was sent to the front with a daring and dangerous task: to impersonate entire divisions and convince the Germans that they were facing far greater numbers than they actually were. The unit's artists painted insignias and markings on their vehicles to mimic those of well-known divisions. Soldiers disguised themselves as officers and men from different units. Fake radio traffic created the illusion of bustling command centers, and sounds of troop movements played on loudspeakers echoed through the forests of the Ardennes. The deception was so effective that it delayed German advances, giving the Allies precious time to regroup. In some cases, the Ghost Army found themselves dangerously close to enemy lines, with little more than their inflatable tanks and fake artillery to defend themselves. Yet they managed to maintain the charade, fooling the Germans into believing they were up against a formidable force.